record this and we put little funny clips on, so we're just going to pass the mic around. And basically, this is just your opportunity. Does anyone not know who we are? We're so famous, everyone knows who we are. We don't need an introduction.
Nobody knows who anyone is.
So, oh yeah. Yes, they do. They all know you. So this is casual, super fun. Basically, ask whatever questions you want, and if you don't, we'll just chat like this for the rest of the hour. Anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
So I'm Matt, and first I just want to say thank you all so much for giving your time up on a Monday for a free workshop. Thank you so much.
Give it up for us.
It's just incredibly inspiring to some of us coming up, so thank you. One of the things I'm working on is I'm trying to determine with some jokes in my act that work some nights and not other nights. What factors are you looking at? I know that you take the crowd into consideration, but what are you looking at in terms of like joke structure about whether or not to keep it if it works one night, not the other?
So I'm not going to presume that anybody knows me. I'm Clayton. I'm one of the founders of Funy Stand Up, which is not lighted right now. So yeah, we should light that up. Make it look good for the Instagram video that we're making right now. So Matt, that's a good question. What I like to do is subdivide my material into A, B, and C. So your A material works every night, or let's say 95%. There's always gonna be that one weird crowd that won't even laugh at your best joke. We can, that's an outlier. But this is the set that you would do if the booker from the Tonight Show is there, right? You're gonna do your audition set. You're gonna stick to just your A material. You have no doubt that it's going to work. And then the C material, you like it, but nobody else does. But you're not ready to throw it away yet because you keep saying, I know I've got something here, right? So when you've got the B material, that's what you're talking about now. It works sometimes, all right? My advice is, if you believe in that joke and you know there's something there, try to get it to the level of A material. Don't sit on it and say, this joke is finished, how come they don't laugh at it? It's not finished if they don't always laugh at it, right? If it's not A yet, it's not finished. So let's get in there and figure out how you can make this setup clearer and shorter. How can we add better, stronger, more surprising punchlines? Like really get into it technically, like what's going on. And if you've done all that work and you're still not sure this joke is a winner, look at your attitude and your delivery. Like what is your approach to the joke? Does the audience feel what they're supposed to feel when you're telling the joke in order for them to be surprised by the punchlines? Because really at the end of the day, what they laugh at is they didn't see it coming. So that's another place to start too.
A joke like, yeah, I have the same. Every comic has their own system or something like that. If the joke isn't getting a 9, if a joke is not getting a laugh like 80% or 90% of the time, then it's still in the developmental stage. It's a good joke, but it's just not killing it every night. And I still have bits that I had for years that are sitting on the bench, working out. They've been sitting there, and they need something. They need a tag. They need the right placement. The ramp in and how you get to the joke, where it's placed between what material, how it's fleshing out your already established persona. There's so many working parts on why a joke isn't working. If I do the same joke that's killer in the wrong place with the wrong frame around it, it's not going to work. It's still work, but it won't get the 90% laugh. Certain jokes, I now have a flow that it's like, okay, that joke works every night, almost consistently. But there's all kinds of things like that. I agree with Clayton that if that joke isn't working, and how often are you going up?
At least 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay, and if it's not working and it works, 50? We're talking 50. Sometimes it's 60. Sometimes if something's not working, I think I have 80%. It's like 70. Yeah, it's got to be 80. 75, 80 is if it's below. If it goes into the 60s, I don't want to. Especially if you're closing or you're doing something like that. But keep at it. Figure out why that's not, is it out of place? Is it an orphan joke that's like the island of misfit jokes that's like unconnected to something in your act, and it comes out of nowhere and it jars the audience, and there's not enough of a setup, so they don't know what the point of it is, or it's not fleshing out, or how you're getting into it. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially if you're not. It's hard. You don't get if you're not getting up. If you're not getting up, and if you get, that's good. You're getting up 3 to 5 times, and it's just you got to keep at it. If there's something there, write around it. Write another intro to it. Write a completely different frame of what the point of the joke is. You know, like that's a really, frame is something that never gets talked about enough. It's just like why is the joke there? What's the persona that you're trying to, get? And like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I have a joke about, I always have this joke about devil's advocate. Everyone says devil's advocate. And you want me to play devil's advocate? Yeah, it really helped me if I knew what Satan's perspective on this would be. Really, yeah. When in a jam, I always know what would the Prince of Darkness have to say here? What would Hitler do? And I always have the joke always worked, but it didn't work in certain places in my act, and then now it works because I've made it part of a couplet where it's like, everyone's angry nowadays, even your friends. You ask your friends, hey, can I get some advice? Oh, you want me to play devil's advocate? Now right there, that connective tissue ramps that joke and smoothly eases that joke, and now that joke now has a home, right? Where it fits in that part of a couplet of a couple other jokes that just have like are really, really strong, and it's got a home with pillars around it, and it can relax in that place. Joke placement. Yeah, it belongs in that place in your act. Sometimes jokes can't survive on their own unless you're Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg's jokes you could move around and put them anywhere, and they could survive in the wild. Okay, and they would crush. I can't do that. And most comics can't. That's a work of art. Each individual joke was an individual Banksy art piece unto itself, and not many people can do that. So where your joke goes and what's around it, how you get into it, what the point of it is, what point you're trying to fill out about you, about it. And when I made that joke about everyone's angry nowadays, everyone wants to fight with you, even your friends, that one line made that joke. You say to your friend, can I ask your advice? Yeah, you want me to play devil's advocate? Right away, boom, that changed that joke, bumped it up 2 notches. And it went from a 7 joke to like an 8, 9 now.
The best way to fix that joke is to take a class with one of these 2 people.
That is the only way.
That's the only way. It's the easiest way. You could do 1,000 open mics, or you could take a class. Yeah, do you record all your sets?
All the time.
Okay, so you probably will notice something in your delivery. You might even notice like a difference in words, and you might notice a couple of things that they were saying. So I would just analyze it. I always find, which is very frustrating, I did a joke for the first time at the new talent show. It crushed. It was like so funny. Everyone walked up to me afterwards, and then I did it on the next show, and it bombed. And it's always the first time you do it, because it's fresh and it's new and you're excited about it. So a little bit of a difference in your intonation and the way you're speaking will, in and of itself. And there are also like some jokes that I know are great that will bomb even, sometimes it's just the audience.
And jokes, if you do them, sometimes you love a joke so much that you get precious with it, and you actually kill it, you strangle it. I've had this with like a bit that I love, and I got so rehearsed in it and got so into it and got it so, and then that I was throwing it off someday, and I went and listened to the more loosey-goosey way I used to do it, and it was, that's more organic, and just go back to that. So little things like that. Comedy's very fragile.
Yeah, it is.
Comedy's so fucking fragile.
It is, yeah.
And the slightest thing will go knock your joke from a 9 to a 6, and sometimes worse, slightest thing. Or bump it up to a 10.
I think if you really want to find a theme in what we're saying, I believe one of my strengths, by the way, as a teacher, is that I'm able to figure out why. Why is this funny? Why is this not funny? Why would this be funny to some people and not others? Like, answering that question is your question. It's like, why? Sometimes they laugh, sometimes they don't. Why? What I'm hearing from all 3 of us is there's passion behind the joke. The first time you do a joke, you're revved up. You're like, oh man, I think this is funny. I'm going to find out tonight, baby. I'm going to hit a grand slam home run. Then the second time, you're like, I know this joke is going to work. We get a little cocky, and the comedy gods come right back down and say, no, boom, you're dead again. You know, because they got to keep us humble like that, right? And you look at Brian's example, devil's advocate, right? His first draft there, or I don't know what draft number, what, maybe 50, but the first way he did it for us today, it was funny. He wasn't in it, right? It's like he's kind of speaking sort of disconnected from the joke. Like, I don't like this phrase, devil's advocate. As soon as he said, your friends get mad at you. Everybody's mad, even your friends. Now it's very personal. And suddenly I can speak with a lot more passion and a lot more engagement. And now the people in the audience aren't like, oh, he's talking about a phrase I've heard before. No, now he's talking about his life. This poor guy, he's walking around and his friends are trying to play devil's advocate. He just wants some advice. Now all of a sudden it's more connected. And that's what we got to try to find. Nobody wants generic, objective comedy. Your comedy should be subjective. And if it's subjective enough, you'll never have to worry about anybody stealing it because only you can do it, right?
That's exactly dead on. It makes it more personal to you. And I think I was doing the joke before where I was saying, like, you know what phrase we have to get rid of? Devil's advocate. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh God, and there's no emotion there. It was just the same joke with the back end, but at the front end it wasn't. But then saying, everybody wants to fight with you, even my friends, I say, whenever I have a problem, it's like, then it becomes, I'm complaining about my life, I'm sharing something that drives me fucking nuts, and that's where it's from.
And the devil doesn't need an advocate. Does that answer your question?
If you look around, the devil is really kicking ass. He's fucking on the ball, okay?
Anyone else?
My question is, so I think I have more trouble with authenticity.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. No.
I
You're not being authentic.
I have been getting more relaxed, but I'm not going to say it's fully authentic. Someone like my ex pointed out.
No, but we talked about this in class.
Yeah.
He's in my class right now. And the minute you kicked into that piece,
Yeah.
you're a different person.
Well, yeah.
You weren't putting on airs. It was coming from a place of like, I saw your eyes and your stage persona, your body language changed because you were going into a place that was a little more raw.
Yeah.
And that was like right away. It was like bang. And I've seen that in so many, whenever I teach classes, I see that in people. That's why I should have had people like doing right away going up, because it usually takes a while, and I'm watching them going, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And then there's a moment in everyone's act where they become who they really are.
Okay.
And you go, holy shit, who's that guy? That's where you gotta go, right there, that guy. Who's that guy right there? Who's that guy talking about the relationship thing? Because the other stuff you did was funny, you know? It's genuine, it was real, but that thing, that's your doorway into, it was relationship, it was raw, it was painful. And I'm not one of those people that goes, painful, you gotta go into the angst, and everything. I'm not like that, but sincerity and authenticity in comedy is about emotion. And it can be joy too. It can be euphoria, it can be glee.
Well, yeah, that's my issue is I have it, I really want to do sketch comedy.
Sketch comedy.
Like, I write out sketches. Someone stole one of my bits.
Sure.
Well, she didn't steal it. She might have the same idea as me. That's what I like to think.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Simone had the same great idea, because Uber Beats I did 2 years before she
Okay.
did her stand-up.
Okay.
It's on TikTok. It's dated.
Yeah.
But in my head, when I think of stand-up comedy, I think of all the comedians I've seen, and like you was talking about the staccato and the rhythm.
Yeah.
When I put them into jokes, I'm a little less authentic, because I feel like there has to be a certain way to do it, and I'm not super relaxed, and I'm trying to put it in the joke form. But when I'm at my funny is when I'm just ranting. Basically.
Well, because sketch is performance oriented in some ways. You're trying to do, it's a sketch. You're thing, but this is revealing. Stand-up has more reveal to it about personal shit. Okay, there's more of a reveal to it. So there's a little more raw, and you might not think of it as funny. You might not think, oh, that's not going to be funny. That's just a story about me, my relationship, or whatever. But that's where the writing comes, the precision, and finding a way to make that painful thing really funny. You know, I don't know if that's helpful, but sketch is a different animal. I know sketch guys and improv guys are really funny, and they suck at stand-up. It's a really different animal. Okay, it's a really different animal, and some comics can't write sketches. You know.
Well, it's like us.
They're one man. Yeah.
Brian and I both have a theater background, acting background, and when you're learning to switch from being an actor to a comedian, the hardest part is not acting. you have to be you, and like we've never been us before. Actors learn how to, you find yourself in the character, but you're still the character. But really, I think the best stand-up, I agree 100% with Brian said, the best stand-up is honesty, authenticity, right? How do you get there? I mean, this is the class I'm teaching here on Sunday. It's a one-day class. It's called Truth in Comedy. And we're going to work through improv.
I'm signed up for that.
No, oh, really? Great. I'll see you there. On Sunday, it's going to be about improvising your way through speaking your truth, whether you're sharing your opinions about something and your observations about something, or whether you're telling us a story from your real life. The one thing we're not going to do on Sunday is try to be funny. Mm-hmm. And then what you're going to find is really funny things will happen in real life that are better than what we can write. It's almost cruel that trying to be funny is wrong. You want to be a comedian, the last thing you should do is try to be funny.
It's true.
Right?
It's totally dead on. It'll kill you, or try to be clever. Oh, clever will kill you in comedy. I see so many fucking people doing clever, really clever. That's very clever. And the audience just stares at you. And they recognize the cleverness of it, but it's not fucking funny. They'll go, oh, that's very clever, yeah. That's a very astute observation you have. Now, when are you going to get to the funny? It's fascinating. Like clever, I see so many young comics, they come up with a wry observation that's really intriguing or something, but there's no joke. And you want to bang your head against the wall and you'll see them get mad at the crowd for not laughing at their cleverness. Fuck that shit, it's not funny. You gotta be funny. You gotta be funny.
Get mad. The most clever ones are the ones who get the most angry when they don't get laughs.
And they get really mad.
It's not a clever club.
It's not a clever club, it's a comedy club, right? It's not a fucking clever club. It's not a fucking clever club. Fuck you with your cleverness, okay? Nobody gives a fuck about your cleverness, okay?
How do we write?
What?
Because I understand what you're saying about not being clever, but yet when you're writing.
Yes. No, but you'll know it because there's clever and then there's funny, right? And sometimes they're combined. A joke can be clever and be funny, but there's other stuff in stand-up, and I'm trying to think of a good example of a bit. I had one. I think I mentioned it in another class. What I said about what is it? Women say I dated a woman who did runway modeling, and she said it's very hard to be a model, Brian. Very hard to be model. And I was like, Natasha, were you working in a coal mine before this? What's your frame of reference? Okay, what's your frame of reference? And I think the punchline was like. And that's funny. That was the one part of the joke that got a laugh was like that. Were you working on a loading dock? I think I said loading dock because that's got a K sound. I was like loading dock. I wrote down loading dock, coal mine, both K sounds, very funny. Were you working in a Natasha, were you working in a loading dock? Natasha's funny, right? So all of that worked, but then the part that never got a laugh was I would say, because being a model is the only job where your goal, one part of your skill set is to do absolutely nothing. Okay, right? Every other job I was in, it was like get to work. What are you doing? Get up, do something. And then for a model, it's hold it, freeze, don't move. Okay. Now, I'm telling you right now now I haven't done it in years, and it was never getting a laugh, but it's getting laughs now. I'm not sure. I've done that a bunch of times, and the audience was still waiting for the punchline of that.
They liked models back then.
Yeah. Maybe that was it. I don't even know. But it was hold it, freeze, don't move, And then I had no joke, so I used to go for a cheap laugh where I'd say, modeling is the only profession where that could be enhanced by a spinal cord injury. Okay, like becoming paralyzed would enhance your career. I can't remember the wording. It never worked. It was like, hey, how come Natasha's getting all this work? Oh, she had a spinal cord injury. Like she's cleaning up now because she can't move. That was the joke. See, exactly. The silence you're hearing. That's what I got every night on that joke. Okay, and I know it sucked, right?
Clever.
Yeah, it was kind of clever, the whole not movement thing. There's something funny there, and I'm probably going to go back to it and try to find something funny. And I thought it was funny that every job you're in, everyone gets yelled at for getting to work, get to work, do something. And modeling is hold it, freeze, don't move. There's something funny about that. But I could never nail the punchline on
So
that.
I have a joke that's clever. It's funny because I find callbacks are kind of clever.
Yeah.
And you have to try to figure out how to make it funny. So we'll do a little workshop here. So I do a joke where, being a mom's the best job in the world. And I'm like, if it's the best job in the world, a man would have it. And that's how I start. So now it's like a 5-minute set, and I'm closing it with a whole woman for president. And I'm like, Biden realized it was a thankless job, so he offered it to Kamala and said, Kamala, it's the best job in the world. And no one laughs, but it's clever, but no one laughs.
Right. Right. Well, are we workshopping this in front of the kids? In front of the kids? Well,
That's an example of how it's clever,
Yeah.
but it's not funny.
Yeah.
the concept is clever. There's something off about the callback itself, the wording. There's something off that we should work on or something. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
I was like, I thought it was genius.
Yeah. The callbacks usually has to hit the same verbal format. What makes it funny is you're changing the wording from the beginning callback because it's the best job in the world, and then you're saying, I'm going to give it to you because it's the best job in the world, and it's like, wait, it's not technically a callback. It's close to a callback, right? So a callback usually has to fit the same format or formula that the original wording has to. I think, and there's no fast rules here, but I'm saying, why is that not working? I'm thinking it hits my ear as that.
And that's the key. There are no hard and fast rules. Everything that you learn in a comedy class, you will be able to find exceptions that work extremely well.
Yeah.
But we have seen the patterns in all the decades that we've been on stage, so we can tell you,
You learn the rules so you can break them.
So you can break them. Yeah, you got to know what you're deviating from. Okay, and so, my approach. Your question was, how do you do it, right? I believe that most comedians start off trying to be funny, and I don't blame them because it's painful. It's painful when you're on stage and no one's laughing, but that is the pain that you have to get through in order to really find that authentic, real comic voice inside of you. All of us can take a shortcut and be up there doing a character or just having a bunch of clever one-liners or something like that, or doing impressions, right? Impressions, great. If you're good at impressions, I'm not hating on you, but I think that what you're doing is not exactly truthful stand-up because you're basically doing somebody else, right? So it's a talent. I'm not sure if it's actually stand-up because to me, stand-up is somebody telling the truth and people reacting because it resonates. If you can find that truthful thing that you say, like when Brian starts talking about your friends are mad at you, everybody's angry, even your own friends, and I start thinking immediately, 5, 6, 7 people that are in my life right now that 9 times out of 10 they're like, I'm so pissed off today, Clayton, and I have to talk them off the ledge, right? So that resonated with me, so I laughed before he even got to the devil's advocate part. So what we have to learn how to do is, what do you have to say that is truthful to you? And when you start brainstorming with that and figuring that out and relieving yourself of the burden of having to be funny, then you can start finding what it is that you have to say. The problem with most comedians is they have nothing to say. They just want to be on stage and they want people to love them, but they have nothing to say. What is your message? What do you care about? What is your passion?
Yes.
What is your story?
Preach,
That's
brother.
the stuff. Thank you.
Preach,
Thank
brother.
you, brother. You Now, the first time you do it, you're just up there talking, being honest and telling the truth, and you're a funny person, so 2 or 3 things you say will get a little bit of a giggle. And if you're the kind of person that every time you go on stage you need to hear thunderous applause, you're going to do the same 5 minutes for 5 years. And you're not going to get anywhere in the business. You're going to have a really great tight 5, but you're too afraid to ever leave it because you get too used to that drug of all that laughter, you know? Now look, if Felicia books you for a Saturday night spot here, you better damn well do your A material. I don't want you experimenting in that situation. It depends on the situation, okay? If you're at a bar show, you're getting up 3 to 5 times a week. You're not headlining all the clubs around town, right? Sometimes you're at an open mic, sometimes you're at a bar show, sometimes you're at a freaking laundromat. Those are the shows for you to get up there and say, tonight, I'm not gonna care about funny, and let me know how many laughs you get, because you'll get them. They'll come. If you're funny, I'm funny all day without trying, you know, because we're funny people, you know. I'm not trying to make everybody laugh all the time, but in a normal conversation that I have with somebody that I'm interacting with at CVS or whatever, you know, my daughter's teacher calls me up, that person's gonna laugh at some point during the phone call because these muscles are, you know, developed, right? You guys are funny too. Don't push it in the beginning. At the end, we're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and say, which of these words can we take out? Which one could be more percussive? Which ones do we not need? That's the end. Don't try to start at the end. You got to begin with, what the hell do I have to say?
And it's a cliche that comedy's based on truth. We hear it all the time. But it's fucking true.
Yeah.
It really is true. And this is not in any way, shape, or form to pretend that we don't know that sometimes we say, so I get off the train today, and we didn't just get off the fucking train, okay? And you'll see a really good comedian like Leo Clayton and Felicia, we can pull that off, right? Because we can make it real. We can make it spontaneous. We can make it sound. But I'll see open mic nighters that go, so I was on the train today, and it's like, no, you weren't. Right away, you lost. You weren't on the train today. That didn't happen. You already lost.
A funny thing happened
yeah,
on the way
a funny thing happened on the way here. Okay? No, it didn't. You're lying. Stop it. Now, until you can make that real for yourself, like in your own psyche and everything else, and make that it just happened or something like that, that's a challenge. But there is, it doesn't get away from the truth thing. There is a real thing that Clayton's talking about, that Felicia talks about, that I talk about all the time. It's your authentic self, your authentic voice. What's real for you, the emotion of that. Even if the story is kind of embellished or enhanced for comedic, to supercharge the comedy of it, there's still an inherent truth about you, your life, or the world that you see that is there. And that's the truth that we're talking about when people talk about the funniest stuff is true. That thing, not that you just got off the train when, you know what I mean? Like that, nobody, that doesn't have to necessarily be true, but but the truth of that is the thing that, the gold mine and the North Star that will guide you to what your real best comedy is.
I'm completely fake. Okay, anyone else? Questions?
Sorry, I was like, so I've been told by my comedian friends that
Don't listen to them.
Already we're
that it is important to bomb.
It's important to bomb.
Yes, and I'm either too much of a coward. I doubt I'm too funny, but it doesn't happen to me very often. And is that a problem?
I would say, you know, someone once said to me very early on, you learn from bombing, you don't learn from killing it. And I think what they're trying to say is maybe you're not pushing yourself enough, but I will let Clayton answer.
No, 100%. I mean, this kind of goes to what we were saying before. If you never bomb, that means you never tried anything that you weren't sure was going to work. You know, I have bombed thousands of times. I've gone on stage hoping, believing that it's going to, hoping beyond hope and believing that it's going to work. But I know that the only way to get to the finish line that I'm trying to get to is to work through the pain And I'm not going to lie, 23 years I'm doing stand-up. It always hurts. I want everyone to love me. I'm a middle child. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I can go home after bombing and be like, oh, that was just part of the process. No, you have to kind of embrace that, you know? Like, I have a bit that I've been doing for about 6 months that it needs a child's name, like an annoying child's name, you know? And I tried Tiberius. I tried so many names. I tried so many names. Pumpernickel. I tried any kind of name I could think of, and I could never really get the laugh. I know that if I say the perfect name in this moment, it's going to get a laugh. I went through 50 names. I finally landed on Copernicus. Every night that I say Copernicus, it has yet to fail. And I got through all those bombs of trying every other possible name until I finally came up with that. And the truth is, one of these days I'm going to wake up and say, this other name might be even better than Copernicus, and then I'll bomb again on the same joke that I already fixed a long time ago. Because you have to become sort of obsessive about what is the best way to say what I'm saying. So if you're like a type A control freak, you want to keep your material like I know exact words I'm going to use. I'm not going to ever deviate from my script, and I'm going to control the situation to the best of my ability. Then you'll never bomb, but you also won't go through the growing pains. And without the growing pains, there's no growing. So that's why I encourage everybody, always try to kill. Of course, you want to commit to your jokes, perform them as though they're your closer. The first time I do a new joke, I do it like I'm 100% confident that you guys are going to love this. In the back of my mind, I'm like, please love it. I hope they love it.
I just want to be clear about the question. When you said that your friends say you have to bomb,
Yeah.
and are you interpreting that as like you should be bombing, or is it you need to be willing to bomb? Like that's for me. You should be bombing. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like but you should be willing and be able to do new material and with the expectation that it's not going to work and be willing and okay with that because you're working on new stuff. Like it suddenly gone down to me. I was like, well, what is the exact question there? Like they're saying you must bomb. You know, it's like, well, being willing to go up with new material are you resistant to doing new material because you are addicted to killing? Is that like I was trying to get clarity on what those.
I mean,
Or is it that you're just killing every night, no matter what you do? You're that good.
No. If anything, when I do new material, I like sandwich it between
Got it.
stuff.
You should.
So I don't walk off stage feeling like I bombed, but the new stuff don't necessarily work.
Okay.
Got it. Which is
like,
okay.
But I generally walk off stage feeling like, okay, I think the audience like had an okay time. Like,
Well, they should,
Oh, no, but that's okay. I mean, if you're sandwiching in, that's a legitimate technique. You don't have to go up with all new material and suffer and eat it and take a blow to your soul. You know what I mean? Nobody wants you to work in a coal mine.
yeah,
And
that's the thing, like I feel like I'm too much of a people pleaser to just go up and do new
Well,
stuff.
it is your job. Well, first of all, it is your job. And if I don't know where you're doing this, but if you were at my club and you came up here and wanted to like literally just try all new material and didn't give a shit if it bombed, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
it depends
You
on
know?
what the context is. If you're doing a paid spot,
Yeah.
we're expected to kill. If you're closing a show, but if you're at an open mic night where you can afford to experiment, but let's see, even at open mic nights, there's that thing where, but I want to get other open mic nights and I want to connect with the comics and have them think I'm funny, so I got to kill here and I don't want, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of psychological fucking things that go on, even in the outskirts of work-related comedy. There's people who want to kill at open mic nights because they want to make connections and they want other people to tell them about shows and they don't want to. They want other people to think they're funny and the comedians to think they're funny. So there's all of that. But if you're sandwiching new bits, that's a legitimate thing to do. If you're sandwiching new bits in between old bits, and I have a habit of like getting even on an open mic night. I hate going off on that. I think I'll leave it there. You know what I mean? Like I hate that. I love to kill on the thing, but sometimes you gotta eat it, you know, like meaning that you have to take the fact that, okay, I could crush here, you motherfuckers. I could kill if I did some of my killer stuff, you know, but
you deserve it.
Yeah, you don't know how good I am. You don't like my new fucking Uber bit, you know, and of course we have all that shit going on in our heads, but it's like, and I see comics go, all right, I think I'll leave it there, and I you know, and they kind of ate it, but that's okay. That's what that's for, and I've made my peace with that. But boy, for years I didn't want to do that. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't let I would go. I'm gonna go out on a killer laugh, right? I'm gonna do one more bit and it would dig a bigger hole or something. You know what I mean? And get worse. So anyway, but I know the impulse.
Are you afraid of bombing, or?
I guess. I'm like.
Okay, let's get her up here.
This is an experiment
Yeah.
at an open mic night where nothing's at stake for you. You know, give it a try.
Just like
go
read
up-
off my phone.
Oh man, do all new material that is gonna and suffer.
I'll
Just
take
the experience. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't recommend that. I say if you developed a workflow that works for you, that you can shoehorn new bits in between old bits, and it's working for you, I would go, okay. You know, I'm not gonna go, you need to go up and suffer and fucking die. You know what I mean? Like, no.
There's a
I'm not gonna say
culture.
there's a rule like that. You know, as long as you're working new stuff and you're not stagnating, you know, and you're not hiding from, you know, your growth as an artist, then okay. But I mean, I do say, like, sometimes I want to go up because sometimes I'm cool and open mic night here, even on Ride Bananas, and I'll take out a bit that I know that is an old bit that never made the team. That's kind of good though, and I'll work that in because I want to workshop it. But other times, I think sometimes I'm gonna go totally fucking do stuff and just fucking die.
I'll take it one step further. My recommendation is one of these days when you're doing an open mic where there really isn't much at stake. Say it's 10 people in the back of a sushi restaurant or something. You know, we've all done the really low stakes shows. I say go up there without any idea of what you're going to say at all.
Just free fall.
Yeah, it's funny you call it free fall because fiction writers call it free association, which is taking a pen and a piece of paper with no preconceived notion of what's going to come out and letting your subconscious brain start writing. You know, I don't know if I were to do it right now, I don't know what would come out of my mouth, and that's the point. You know, you may discover something. That's what I would do earlier in my career when I would have what I would call writer's block. Like I was like, I don't have any new jokes, you know, but I want to go do an open mic, but I don't want to do the same old stupid jokes. Instead of like trying to write something real quick on the way to the club, I would literally just get up there and start talking. Maybe talk about what happened today, or the phone call I had with my brother last night, or whatever. And maybe that whole 5 minutes is like the silence that would normally be reserved for like monks in Tibet. It's just like brutal silence. Yeah. And even then, sometimes I would go home and listen to those recordings and say, nobody laughed at anything tonight. But I think I could turn this one little thing that came out of my mouth into something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who cares? No one's going to remember your laundromat set. You know what I mean? You got to get there. So take those risks, and that's a great way to like relieve yourself of writer's block and maybe help yourself answer the question, what do I want to say? Like you were asking, where do we start? You know, maybe if you just did some free association, the ideas would come out naturally. Just promise yourself you're not going to shut up. Just get up there and talk. Keep talking. Something's coming. I promise.
This is going to be really random. But I kind of feel like your perception of bombing is kind of like the equivalent of people's perception of women orgasming from TV. You know, it's not like it's not like that. You know, in real life. So you're probably what you're doing with your new jokes in between is your equivalent of bombing. It's not the TV version of orgasming. You know what I mean? So like it's not as traumatic. Like I don't feel like I've ever really like. I mean, I've come away from shows and like I've cried or been upset or it didn't go so well, but it was like a bomb, you know. It was like, but so maybe you, in your own way, you're micro bombing.
Watch Billy Burr in Philly. Have you seen that video of them?
Oh, where they're destroying.
Where they hate him
they're
and they're heckling him, and he has to do 50 minutes. And he keeps looking at his watch, going, "I got 5 more fucking minutes," and he just plows ahead and insults all of Philly. And you've never seen a more powerful expression of defiance in the face of the most horrific bomb situation that's ever been on film. It's just every comic just goes, okay, just for that alone, he should be on the Mount Rushmore of comedy. Okay, Billy Burr bombing in Philly. Just watch it. It's great. It's just great watching him defiantly giving the finger to them and saying, "I'm not gonna fuck," and he just keeps going. 3 more minutes, right? And he has to kill his time. And he's looking at the clock and he's going like 12.7 minutes. Say, "I'm fucking not getting off this fucking stage." He said, "You're torturing me. I'm gonna torture you." Okay,
He's going to fulfill his contractual obligation.
Yes, exact contractual obligation. Yeah, you want to fucking bring me down? Okay, come on, fuckers. I'll fucking show you. You want to do that? Okay, you fucks. Okay, you fucking people from fucking Philly. You're fucking worshiping fucking Sly Stallone, and there's a fucking Joe Frazier's right here in your town. Fuck you, okay? Anyway,
So, in my opinion, that Bill Burr set is not bombing. That's like a rowdy group of hecklers.
Yeah.
To me, bombing is like you hit that big punchline and they stare at you.
Yeah.
It's like quiet.
Yeah.
Bombing is quiet and it's eerie because everybody knows that we should be laughing, but we're not. And it just, it does hurt. And what a lot of us do, I know I have more bombing material than I'm proud to admit because of all the years of bombing. You should have material that you go into when 2 or 3 jokes in a row don't land. That you're trying to kind of like remind the audience that you're a real person, you're a human being, and that you're in pain, and that you also are acknowledging the elephant in the room. Like that elephant gets bigger and bigger if we don't acknowledge it. But yeah, I do think that being able to bomb is important.
Always have material for specific situations you're going to face in comedy all the fucking time. Bombing, obviously, is one of them. Small crowds, obviously, one of them. Weird situations where the mic is not working, have material. You're going to work, you've got to have some stuff in your pocket, unless you're a great ad-libber, which not all of us can pull that off. But always there's going to be scenarios that you will face constantly in comedy. And check spots. Have check spot material. Just write something about it. I don't know what your thing is. I got one. Chuck Nice has one of the best check spot bits ever written, because they drop the checks and you can't do comedy. And they do this to headliners, to me on the road when I've closed. They fucking drop the checks and it's murder to your set. And people think, you just be funny, you plow through, you're really funny, you're a headliner, fucking do it. It's like, fuck you, that is completely the antithesis. You are drawing the attention away from the show that the people are supposed to be watching, and you're completely interrupting the momentum of the set. And yet, that's one of those shit sandwiches that you gotta eat and find something. And I used to fucking go, no, fuck that, I'm not fucking gonna, and then I surrendered, because you have to do it. Write something that will help you in that situation that comes from your soul, which is what I did about checks being dropped. And then I wrote a bit about it, which now I can pull out when they do drop it. And I'm guilty because I know it's well rehearsed and it looks spontaneous. Yeah. and so I want to write 3 more and 5 more of those. But like sometimes you don't always have enough time in the day to write. I'm going to write 17 more check spot bits. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like I wrote 3. I take the victory, put a bow on it, and hope that I never, or write it in my writer that they can't fucking drop the checks on me like some comics do,
I'll tell you guys what I don't, fortunately I'm not usually getting checks anymore unless I'm headlining. And the good thing about the checks when you're headlining, I'm talking about like you're on the road, you're doing 45 minutes, and 30 minutes in, they're going to give everybody a bill. 200 people in the crowd, and they're all doing math now, I'm just getting my momentum, and but the good thing about that is I've had 30 minutes to kind of convince them that I'm at least passable, right? In New York City, the check spot is like you're literally just doing the part when the bills come, so you don't have a chance to win them over. And I used to do a lot of these, and what I did, you should have your own version of this, but mine was I said I feel like no one's listening to me right now. So maybe I'll take this opportunity to say some things that I've always been afraid to say on stage. And what would happen is the crowd would suddenly be like, oh shit, he's about to make a confession or something. And that was when I had their attention and end up being able to do material as part of the check spot, which is like a victory in itself.
That's a perfect example of like turning fucking shit into gold, you know? When you can do that, when you can like take that shit situation and turn it, weave it into something magical like that, the audience loves it, you'll love it, and you'll go to another level as an artist because you've just given yourself permission to like fucking, all right, what can I do with this? Oh my God, I just turned this horrible situation around.
Yeah, like you solved the Rubik's Cube or something.
Yeah.
And then when they would get quiet, they'd be like, what's he gonna say?
And also like following somebody who just crushed the room. Okay, you're gonna have to do that. Following a celebrity, especially in New York, if you have to. You like go up after somebody goes on, John Oliver stops by here or something like that. You gotta go, oh my God, what do I say then? Think of something, you know what I mean? Come up with something that speaks from your heart so that you'll have little pieces of material for specific situations so you don't have panic attacks, you know, backstage while you're going, you know, it's like, I had to follow Robin Williams twice at the Cellar, twice, you know, and it was just fucking, what do you do? But it was like, okay, I gotta come up, you know, and then I came up with something and I did it, whatever. But I won't go into it. But in those situations in New York, that's a scenario that will come up at some time. And just like the check spot, just like, you know.
I think of it as he opened for you.
Yeah. I think I did say something like that once. I'm gonna have my opening act. You're gonna be hearing a lot about him. He's a very talented youngster. I think he's going places. Good job. Really funny one day. Okay? And then I said, is there any other superstars of, you know, are the Beatles here? Elvis? Let's exhume Elvis. Let's make my fucking life a living hell. And I just leaned into it, and then the audience was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, the audience, whatever happens in the room, you are the band leader of the situation. And they have entrusted you with, you're the only guy holding the mic, okay? And they entrust you to fucking take charge and to call out anything that happens. If something happens in the room and you don't mention it and just, I didn't see that, or I didn't, the audience loses respect for you as a performer.
So,
and they go, why didn't he help us through that difficult situation when that tray dropped or something, or say something, because we all noticed it and you didn't fucking say anything.
And the elephant got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
how long is your joke that you're working on? You?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, the one I was referencing earlier,
Yeah.
it's about a minute.
Do you want to come up and do it? We'll workshop it with you.
Oh, really?
No
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
I
We
love that. Would
because
that
we
be
did that.
okay?
We did that last time. It's kind of like yeah.
Okay, guys, all right. Oh, that's so kind.
Look at that.
I
Did you
do
get
just,
paid extra for this?
I do just, I'm doing the Comedy Idol on Saturday, and this joke is in my set. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Or-
fine.
Oh, okay, cool. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. Give it up for, first off, these wonderful, the panel. Thank you guys so much. I was running late to work the other day, so I had to order an Uber, and the Uber driver meant to message me, I'm on the way. But instead, he messaged me, I am the way. That happened 4 years ago. I think about that every day. I was like, are you trying to pick me up or deliver me? Which one? I texted him back. I was like, where are you? He was like, you will find what you're looking for when you stop seeking it. And then he just canceled the ride. I showed up late to work. My boss was like, did you sleep in again? And I was like, yes, but I promise you, I am now awake. And then they fired me, so that's the joke. But thank you guys so much. It's so kind. Thank you.
Now, what's the percentage on that joke, and which parts don't work?
It's about 65%, I'll say. The part that doesn't typically work, if they don't buy into that beginning, the I am the way, then the rest of it kind of falls apart.
Well, that's the funniest part of the joke.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so is it, and
Well, to me, the problem with the joke is the beginning's great, setup's great,
Sure.
fucking, yeah, I am the way. Right there, that is such a great setup.
yeah,
It's an elevated setup. It's got, that's really funny. So now, where is he going with that? Okay, you're on a right there, that is such an interesting thing. I've never heard that particular line, but there's an expectation that there's going to be a great punchline coming right after that. Okay, and you have one.
So, and typically what I like to do is sometimes if that gets a longer laugh,
Yeah.
I'll say that happened 4 years ago. I think about that every, and I emphasize the every day, and then that gets another laugh.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't say that part because if that first laugh isn't long, like I'll kind of.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
And then what comes after it?
It's every day, and then are you trying to pick me up or deliver me?
The pick me up thing threw me because I'm like,
Okay, so-
what? Like I thought you were going someplace about enlightenment and so when I went, wait, now we're in Tinder? What?
Sure.
Be careful with phrasing. Exactly. Pick me up is not just something that an Uber driver does. It's somebody in a bar does, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Brian's saying. Like, is this
Do you mind if I just
Tinder?
go to my phone?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So, in my opinion, I would cut the part about how it happened 4 years ago,
Yeah, same.
regardless.
Sure.
You too, Felicia?
Yeah.
My opinion is when he says, "I am the way," I want your reaction next. I want you to do an act out of yourself, like, God? Is that you? I've been looking for you for so long. I'm giving you 5 stars, buddy. You know, think about the combining Uber and religion,
Sure.
right? And be clear, not everybody's going to know like something in the Bible that I guess Jesus or somebody said, "I am the way," right? So you got to remember, like an audience is going to have different religious backgrounds, and we can't like use what we might think. If we're Catholic or something, we know this phrase. You got to make it more. So I think right there, if you just say God, and like you're bewildered and you're ready to just like go to heaven with your Uber driver or something,
Right.
but it was just a stupid typo.
Yeah. No,
Right,
of
yeah.
course.
So it goes. So the guy said, "I am the way."
Right, and then I
Okay.
texted him back, I said, "Where are you?" He said, "You will find what you're looking for when you stop seeking it."
Okay.
And then he canceled the ride.
Okay. Okay. There's okay. Are you picking me up? I went to
Somewhere
Sex.
else.
Sex.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that threw me because I couldn't follow what came
Me too.
after that. It completely threw me.
I really appreciate this because I think it goes back to the clever part we talked about earlier. 'Cause
Yeah, I
was
know.
like, oh, deliver
Picking me up.
And
Yeah.
I was like, when I wrote that, I was like, oh, that's great.
That's really
Well done.
clever, but
Yeah,
it completely
exactly.
throws it. Now, if you said, "Are you giving me a ride?" Or are you blank? Or are you my ride share guy? I'm not saying you should do that. No, I'm not saying it.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'm saying if you did that, that wouldn't have thrown my ear off. I don't know what the thing is, but
Picking me up,
yeah.
that was the problem.
picking me up is a sexual connotation. It's a bar thing, and it completely and so you fishtailed over here because we're making verbal associations all the time, and something like that can throw the joke off
Yeah,
just
sure.
completely and just knock the tables out of the
That's so
table
helpful.
top. So a little thing like that. Okay, once that's off the table, then you go, okay, good. Now we know that thing is fucked up the joke. Okay, get rid of it,
Yeah.
and then you go, all right, now what? All right, so what are the other options? I
Well, he
can't-
wants to use
Yeah.
deliver, so why don't you do something like, well, he delivered me at my house and then he delivered me from evil.
Right,
Yeah,
oh,
something like that.
Some kind of
Sure.
Catholic, whatever.
So keep, so I
Yeah.
guess
I
I
am the
keep
way.
that delivered.
Yeah, I like the idea of using deliver because that is like that clever thing there, you know. But like the idea that he canceled the ride,
Right.
he gave you this whole speech, like that sounds like scripture or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's not truthful.
And
Right.
and then you have to, it's not truthful,
Right,
and you,
right, 'cause it's,
and I'm going,
Sure.
of course, my head's going to Jesus, but his name is
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to think of like every association possible for deliverance and transcendence, and am I going to reach enlightenment, or I just wanted to go to Hell's Kitchen? You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like you know, I'm saying something like I was headed to the Lower East Side, and it turns out I'm going. You know what I say? I don't even know, but
I wasn't
yeah.
expecting such a lift.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. I mean, you got to write down Lyft, Uber. Yeah. I'm giving him 5 stars in celestial, you know, in celestial plane, you know, like. So you go every possible iteration and every possible association of Lyft, Uber, like Felicia said, Lyft, and he talk about a lift. I'm really getting lifted up. You know what I mean? Like whatever that is. But that's the
And
thing.
if you ever want to do a callback, you could, like, if someone's texting you, like your girlfriend, who says, "Where are you?" and you'd be like, "I am the one."
Yeah.
That could work,
Yeah.
That could
Yes.
work. So also does Uber Eats, but he only delivers bread and wine.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny.
Right? Just think about it.
Fishes and loaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he only delivers fishes and loaves,
Well,
right?
he shows up with water.
Yeah. Turns it into wine. There you go.
Just think about the Bible and all the different
Yeah.
things. Like you really take this idea, like you, for a second, you were like, oh my God, I just got the text of a lifetime from God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, it's just a typo.
And the callback thing, like she said, like Felicia said,
Yeah.
that's definitely a possibility there, because then somebody later on in your act says, "Are you on the way?" And I'm like, "Baby, I am the way." And if you said that, boom, and then you do a hand motion like that.
I was told.
Yeah, according to my Uber driver, I am the way.
There you go.
But again, getting back to what they were saying was, like, they got into the emotion of how you felt when you got that, as opposed to, well, I heard that 4 years ago, and I think about it all the time. Really, how did that make you feel? And get into it, and doing the whole, like, listing things that are so similar to the topics, and you'll see what comes together and makes sense. And we listed all the God things and all the.
And by the way, you say that happened 4 years ago, and I think about that every day.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay, yeah.
I don't like
If
that.
you were
that's
going
awesome.
to, if
Yeah.
you were going to leave a part of that in, you could say, "I think about that every day." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's,
and you know what? I think about that. I'm not saying you should do that. Once again, it's like this is a workshop thing, but it's like.
That happened 4 years ago, and I'm still waiting for him to show up.
Yeah. But the 4 year that happened 4 years ago, and I think about it every day. You're getting a laugh on the. You think about that every day. You're not getting a laugh on the four. I think I happened 4 years ago.
Exactly.
You're sort of, kind of getting a laugh on it, but the big laugh is coming on the second half of
And
that.
4 years
You can
ago,
keep the second half of that, but I think about it. It happened 4 years ago, and I think about that every day. But I think you can go. I think about that every day.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you can get just if you sell that, you'll probably get just close to the same laugh that you could while cutting some of that syllabic bullshit on
And the
it.
real problem with 4 years ago is it just lowers the stakes. The comedy should feel like this happened recently. Like this is like, why are you talking about something from 4 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you do think about it every day. Yeah, it dates the bit, makes it feel like you're doing old material or something. Yeah.
It undercuts a certain aspect of your stage persona that you want to have immediacy. Everything in your act should be about immediacy, even if it's something you're telling that happened to you a long time ago. How does it resonate in your life now? How does it stay with you? What are you suffering from PTSD because of it? It's all about immediacy and where you are now. How you've either changed, grown, or still am impacted by that thing.
And be honest. Don't try to be funny. Be honest. Like it's a funny thing. Like your reaction. I believe this really happened. I believe the story, right? But to a point. I don't believe the part about how he said, "I will deliver you from."
Right.
That part it feels fake, And it's not that we can't exaggerate, but when you go that far off the rails, it's kind of like, well, now we've kind of lost touch with what Matt is. It's Matt, right?
Yeah.
What Matt is feeling, and we've got to stay connected. You've got to care. You've got to care. The emotion you have on stage can never be. I think this is funny. That can't be it. That's no good.
Yeah, and it's like I was thinking you should the obvious thing to be would be the driver's name was Jesus, but you should say and I looked at his name was Bob.
Yeah.
That's or something or what was the name? What was the name?
Copernicus.
Copernicus.
Copernicus wins every night. It's a good idea.
But anyway, that's something we've been doing a little bit at the end of these, bringing someone up and working on a joke and just
By
to
the way,
see.
the Jesus joke has been done a lot.
Right. No, that's why it's. I know that's why it was so expected.
I always said it.
Yeah,
I really
Bob.
like Bob.
Bob.
I saw his name and it was Bob. Fred.
Bob the Father, Bob the Son, Bob the Holy Spirit. You can do it.
Anyway, well, thank you guys. Thank you. Support live comedy. Come watch here whenever you want. Sign up for classes and spread the word. Tell everyone about all the fun stuff we're doing here for you guys.
Thank you.